so the owner lost the original sales and purchase agreement and deed of assignment. Hi everyone and welcome back to my another vlog in real estate. So I've been thinking about it and looking back, I thought I will share with y'all about this whole transaction process so that we can learn from one another. And I also wrote in my real estate ebook, which I'll put the link below, about real estate transactions and the real estate process itself. Hit the like button below and subscribe to this channel. So today we're going to look back at my first sale. So for some new agents to close their first deal or break their first egg, they're quite lucky. They can get to close their first deal in 24 hours or the next day or within the week or within the first month. But some agents are not so lucky when they get to only close their first deal in 3 months or 6 months or within the first 12 months. For me, it took me 3 months to close my first sale. So for this sale, I was the listing agent for the property, which is a condo, and the buyers were first time home buyers and they were very excited to eventually secure this condo as their first home. So with this being the first sale in my real estate, there were a lot of mistakes made and there are some lessons that we can learn. Firstly, the property was a leasehold condo. So for leasehold properties, they usually take about 3 to 6 months or even 12 months or maybe more for the transaction to be completed. And that is from the signing of the sales and purchase agreement to eventually getting the consent from the developer or the state government and to vacant possession of the property. For leasehold transaction, it depends on the efficiency of the lawyers between both the seller's lawyers and the buyer's lawyer to work together, and also with the government or the developer to get the consent released so that they can proceed with the next step in the transaction. If you're interested in leasehold transaction process, I also did a video previously which I'll put above and below so you can learn more about how to buy leasehold properties. For buyers, bear in mind compared to freehold where the transaction takes at most maybe 3 to 4 months, for leasehold properties they can take as much as 3 months to maybe 12 months or more. And then for real estate agents, the after sales service extends beyond the sales and purchase agreement, so I expect to work closely with the buyer and the seller for more than 3 or 4 months. Secondly, the condo was more than 10 years old and it was still under the master title with the developer. So for properties that are still under master title, individual owners do not have a strata title and the property is more than 10 years old, if the buyer is taking a bank loan, it can be challenging for the buyer to get a bank loan approved. It's not due in fault to the buyer but more of the bank and the developer. So for this first sale, not many banks were willing to lend to the buyer. The international bank, they turned down the buyer. A handful of local banks were willing to entertain the buyer and offer the buyer a bank loan. But thankfully, the buyer managed to get a bank loan approved. Thirdly, the condo was still under master title. So the legal documents that were presented and required were the sales and purchase agreement and the deed of assignment, because the condo don't yet have the strata title issued to the owner. And this is where the issue came about. The owners thought that they had the original sales and purchase agreement and deed of assignment, but after having stayed there for so many years and a lot of things happened along the way, somehow the original documents were misplaced. So from what I can remember, police reports had to be made and then there were a lot of communications and up and down between the lawyers. For real estate agents, usually they will get their commission when the sales and purchase agreement is signed and stamped and executed. And this is usually within 1 month from the confirmation of sale and booking to the sales and purchase agreement. But for my case, since there was a few legal issues that had to be sorted out, the sales and purchase agreement was extended and dragged on for more than 1 month. So my commission was also put on hold. If I recall, I think it took close to 6 months. Then from there, my real estate agency could claim the commission. And then it was another 6 months of waiting for the buyer because the lawyers had to get the consent from the developer and also the state government to transfer the property from the seller to the buyer, and then also for the bank to release the loan. So all in all, the buyer had to wait close to 12 months before they could eventually get the keys to their first home. So I hope you learned something from today's video. So to stay tuned for more real estate, investment, finance and home tips, hit the like button below and subscribe to this channel.